Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. And I was scrolling through the comment section. In the comment section, it says, yesterday you said oil looks strong. How does it change so quickly? And honestly, that's just short-term movements. Anything can drive anything in the short term. So short-term movements, they're all over the place. They can turn on a dime. They can move all over the place. And it's usually the worst in stocks in terms of how fast some of these things can rotate and for any reason. News can come out and people can get emotional and sell a whole bunch of things, and then it rockets higher the next day for no apparent reason, and you sometimes can't even see it in the charts for no reason. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time. And what we're looking at is we're looking at the footprint that buyers and sellers have put in the charts to kind of say, okay, the momentum's going this way, or a turning point with a candlestick is going to turn and move that way, or we've got support or resistance at certain areas. But it doesn't mean that having support or resistance at those certain areas that the price will do exactly what you want it to do, because it's driven by all these different things. And if you're looking and you're trading, I'm not trading. If you are trading, what I do is I will scroll through everything. And just to give you an example, I'm trying to remember what I was exactly looking for. I think it was a rare earth metal. Um, what I look for is a setup like this, where you've got a resistance line. You're coming up, and this is basically a cup and handle pattern, and you're looking for a break. I would have been trading maybe this break here, and I didn't see it at the time because someone brought it up in a comment a while back. But right here, and then you could see the break, and that's what you would look for. Other people look for total value, so they'd be looking for things down here. And obviously that'd be what I would be looking for if I could get it. But this is a setup I would be looking for in the break. And some of these other ones you can see kind of where all the resistance is at and whatnot. MP materials is also coming up to an area that could potentially break to the upside here, almost like a cup and handle pattern that's about to break. So that's MP materials, and that's what you look for. You look for that. Now, does that mean that this is necessarily just going to break and take off? Not necessarily, but it's the probability. That's what we're looking for if you're going to do trades, and you would buy it on the break if you're a trader. I'm not a trader. So why am I not a trader? Because I read some in some comments here, and I'll pull it up. URNM. For URNM, why didn't I sell it when this thing kind of came up into the corner here with a bearish engulfing pattern? We came on down. We have another bearish engulfing, which today, if it comes up enough, we could reverse this and not have it be a bearish engulfing on a weekly candlestick basis. Well, how come we didn't all sell right here? And then when do we get back in? How do you know that this is necessarily a top? And what I'm going to tell you is this: no one knows. I don't know. No one else knows. All we have are these patterns that develop. And it doesn't mean that all those patterns are going to be right, because how bad would it have been if I said, yeah, this is a definite pattern top. It's going to break to the downside. And what if it doesn't break to the downside? What if it runs 100% to the upside? How mad would you be if that were to happen? So what I've done and what I've found over the years is it's much easier to identify value through looking at different metrics. So let me type this in real quick. And what I use is the ratios. So this right here is your pound of U3O8 in gold grams. And whenever it's low and the market conditions are starting to turn, which I've tied this to an expansion phase of real estate, that's when you got to start looking and accumulating shares by using the ratio and saying uranium's cheap in relationship to gold and other assets. And then you look at market conditions, or I should say market balances, and the market balances for uranium is in deficit. So this is the time to go long in uranium and not worry about the short term. Worry about the next 5 to 10 years and how big that move's going to be. Now, I bought at a pretty good time in 2020. It was still incredibly low, and I got really good prices. So the name of the game here is to buy your shares super cheap. You hold on to them, and then you ride it. Because the moves will be so big, you don't need to worry about 20 or 50% gains. You don't have to worry about that stuff. Some of them I'm already up 10 times my money. What if it goes up another 5 times or 10 times or more? I mean, that's a 100 bag. Do I care what happens in the short term? Yeah, I'm gonna have to ride through some volatility, but 100 times your money, I mean, where are you gonna find that? I don't know of anything. Now, here's another thing I want to talk about here in uranium. Uranium didn't, I mean, it took off in about 2004 maybe, when it really started going. So this is 04, 05, 06, and 07. That was pretty far into the cycle of the commodity boom, because commodity, we had a buy signal in 98, which is like 98, 99 is this area back here. This is when I would have been buying. But there's a couple of years you had to ride through it. I I think, and this is just me, that we are super early into this game, and we may still have another year or two in uranium to go sideways. Even though the uranium stocks are going up quite dramatically, I think we might not see this blow off top until certain market conditions come. And it could come earlier. Maybe it comes next year. It's a possibility, and no one knows. But I can tell you, we've got deficits in the market balance, and they're cheap. So I mean, I get in. I don't try to time it perfectly, and no one's going to time this perfectly. And I think if we look at the trying to remember, I was looking at something. Here is the producer price index, and then the last one was right here. The producer price index really took off and broke out in '04, and I think that's basically where uranium started to really get to move, was in this area here when we started to break into the upside, and it really took off here all the way to '08. At least that's where oil really took off, and I bet you oil and uranium are highly linked. This has gone quite dramatically up, so uranium could just fire off here because we broke out of this pattern here to the upside quite dramatically in the producer price index. But I kind of want to just tell you like why I don't do short-term trading. I've gotten caught out before in some of these stocks. I wasn't as good of a trader back then, and or a chart reader, I should say, and I it's too hard to fling everyone back and forth so quickly by using charts. And it's much better just to ride it, stay in it and ride it. And I know a lot of people, they probably don't have the courage of their convictions. They probably can't even ride it up. I was I did an interview with Trader Ferg, and I asked him. I said, how can regular people on YouTube, that because I'm talking to people on YouTube here, how can they ride up the bull market? How are they going to have their like conviction? Because him and myself were like, I ride through this. I could be up 20 times my money and still be riding it. Same with him. It's like how do you do it? And it's like, well, you have to do all this research. You have to know these things inside and out in order to be able to hold on to them. I'm using ratios as my guide. He's using other things, fundamentals and sentiment. So it's not going to be an easy ride. It's not, this is going to be something that's not easy. And I think a lot of people might not ride through it. I mean, I'm riding through it no matter what. I'm not letting this go to waste. And I mean, all I do is I look at like a CRB to S&P 500 and how cheap this is. And I hate to tell you guys, but you only get one shot. You only get one shot at this for it to come back up. And if you're messing around trading in and out of this stuff, there's no point. That the returns are so big, there's no point of trying to get these small little returns. And even myself, like getting 100% of my money is a waste of time. It's not worth it. I'm looking for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 baggers. Not looking for 100%. I'm not looking for a double. We do all this research. We buy all these things that are put compressed way down. It's not worth my time to try to get a double of my money. I'm going after 10 plus baggers. And that's the whole point. You only get these setups 2 or 3 times in your life. Why are you going to mess it up trading in and out if the returns are so large? It's about getting the lowest cost basis possible in your stock. So you want to cost average in, get as low as you can, and then hold on. And the big moves are coming. They're coming in front of us. So in my opinion, it's not worth going in and out. So that's my take. The big long-term, big picture stuff is all fundamentally driven. The short-term stuff can be driven by anything. So the short term has the least reliable marks. The most reliable is the big picture view. So if someone were to say, what's your prediction for moving about in the short term here? I'd say it's difficult because you have big buying pressure down here and you have selling pressure up here. And you're kind of coming up into a corner. Does that mean it could come back down a little bit? It could. But I can tell you this. If we broke the big downtrend line, this is probably going to go higher over time. I can't tell you what path it takes, but more than likely it's going to go far higher. And that's exactly what I look for. These breaks, and that came back, a little return move, and then probably move higher over time, given the right market conditions. So that's all we've got, guys. That's all we've got. So I'm going to hold on and let it ride higher. That's what I'm doing. If you guys like this analysis, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.